Why can't you keep score in Afghanistan? Because of the Taliban. What up, YouTube? Let's hear. Thanks again for visiting the channel. As always, I appreciate it. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you so much for watching. I'd appreciate it if you just go ahead and hit that thumbs up button just for the algorithm. And if you enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. Today, we are doing a quick review on the Microtech Ramlock stitch. That's the manual stitch, not the automatic. Real quick, before we get started, if you would be so kind as to go ahead and follow me on Instagram, it's lets_do_it_up, LETS_DOITUP. And if you'd like to send a knife or knives into the channel for review, go ahead and send me an email at letsdiu79@gmail.com. I'll send you my shipping address, and as soon as you send me the knife or knives, I will spend a week or two with them, review them, and go ahead and send them back. This review is brought to you by the incomparable ENG that's IAN_G_EDC. He sent me a couple of knives that are very hard to get a hold of and really in demand right now. Mostly because the Microtech gear site, it's almost impossible to get them off of that. And they're really good price, $250, $275 I think it is for the stitch. But they will be coming to sites throughout the internet here shortly, but they're going to be a lot more money at something like $375 or $400. So please do me a favor, go ahead and follow him on Instagram. He's supporting my channel, so I'd really appreciate it if you would show him a little bit of support as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's do it up, y'all. This knife is probably one of the most what am I trying to say here? It's one of the knives that I've wanted in my collection almost, forever, ever since I've found it. But I didn't want the automatic version. I wanted the manual version, so I waited for that to come out. But as you guys know, like I said, it's almost impossible to get a hold of this thing off the gear site. Once they post, they're basically gone within seconds. It's just really hard to get a hold of this guy. So it was really nice of Ian to send this to me for review. This guy is 8.55 inches overall with a 3.71 inch cutting edge, a 3.71 inch blade with a 3.08 inch cutting edge, and a 4.84 inch handle. I don't know why that was such a mouthful. We'll do some quick size comparisons on this guy compared to the Rat Model 1. The Microtech Ramlock stitch is going to be just about the same length, maybe a hair shorter. And compared to the Rat Model 2, the Rat 2 is obviously going to be quite a bit shorter than the Ramlock stitch. The DEMKO knives, the AD20S is going to be just a little bit shorter than the Ramlock stitch, and the 20.5 is obviously going to be quite a bit shorter than the Ramlock stitch. Last but certainly not least, we've got the SPYDERCO knives. SPYDERCO Paramilitary 2 is going to be just a little bit shorter than the Ramlock stitch, and the Para 3 is obviously going to be quite a bit shorter than the Ramlock stitch. Carry profile. The stitch, I think, is going to be just about this. It might be just a hair longer than the Paramilitary 2 when it's closed. And the Para 3 is a little bit shorter than the stitch when it's closed. Thickness when compared to the Para 3. The Ramlock stitch is clearly going to be just a little bit thicker than the Para 3. And the Para 3 is going to be just a little bit shorter than the Ramlock stitch at its tallest point. So this shouldn't be too bad in the pocket. People carry Para 3s all the time and have no problems with those in the pocket. This is just a little bit longer and just a hair taller than the Para 3. I'm going to get a weight on this guy. I forgot to tell you guys on the last review what the weight on the MSI was. I apologize about that. But the weight on the MSI is 5.3 ounces. Let's see if we're still on pounds and ounces here. Good, and that's zeroed out. So the weight on this guy is 5.9 ounces, which is not bad at all. 6 ounces is my cutoff for being a just normal weight knife. Anything above that is a little bit heavier, obviously, for most people, but for me, it's not a big deal. I don't really care what knives weigh. I don't really even put them on, I don't keep pocket clips on my knives, and if I do, I don't really use them all that much. I just kind of throw it in my pocket and go. Anyway, so blade steel on this guy, as before with the MSI, it's N390MK, and you've got the Microtech logo here, along with the Borka Blades symbol there. As you guys know, the Borka Blades stitch is a custom knife that's very, very expensive, thousands of dollars, very hard to get a hold of. So this is just a more affordable option for people that Microtech has made for a very long time. They just started making a standard version here a few months ago and releasing it, which is, you know, everybody's been very, very excited about, which is one of the biggest reasons these knives are so in demand right now. On the other side, there is nothing at all. It's completely sterile on the lock side. So anyway, you have a... so Microtech's site calls this a drop point blade. I'm really not sure what to call it, but we'll go with drop point since that's what they call it. There is like a nice little thumb ramp right here with a little bit of jimping on it. There's an opening hole here. You've got a flat ground blade all the way out to the tip. It does come with serrations. I'm not sure why. Nobody really cares about serrations that, you know, would really be interested in this knife, but I digress. You've also got a flat here that carries out to about 65-70% the length of the blade, and you have, I guess you'd call it a swedge that carries all the way out to the tip. This guy is running on bearings. As you can see, it's got fantastic action, snaps right back into the handle with the actuation of that ram lock. There is no lock stick on this guy whatsoever. You can flick this out with the middle finger, but it does take just a little bit of wrist. I'm sure that just needs to be worn in a little bit in order for that to be, you know, a little bit smoother and to open without quite as much wrist. There also is a little bit of jimping here on this very generous forward finger choil. It's, you know, way bigger than it needs to be, but it matches up with the regular automatic stitch and the Borka stitch as well. It's just a really cool blade shape. Love the blade shape on this guy. Absolutely love it. As with before on the MSI, all the same stuff. T8 hardware for the body screws, T20 for the pivot, and you've also have T8s for the pocket clips there as well. You've got the filler tab here. You've got a small lanyard hole here. One of the biggest difference between this knife and the MSI is you've got a longer backspacer here, which I like a lot more than the backspacer on the MSI. But it doesn't really, you know, the other one doesn't take anything away from the knife, I don't think. You've got the same stainless steel pocket clip here, which has these slots milled out of them, which, you know, again, I'm not really sure if that's because, I don't know. I'm really not sure why they did that. I haven't tried to take these off, so I'm sure those slots have a purpose, but I'm not sure exactly what they are. The milling on the G10, the frag milling, is a lot longer on this knife than it is on the MSI. And again, like I said before, the MSI had to have that small groove milled into it for the thumb so that you can access that opening hole. But I still kind of feel like they could have extended the frag milling out a little further on the MSI. But again, it's not taking anything away from the knife or hurting it in any way. The opening hole on this guy is a little bit bigger than the one on the MSI, but I don't really think that's going to make a huge difference to anybody. Very easy to use, very easy to flip this open with your thumb or your reverse flick finger. And very easy to disengage and whip it right back down into the handle. One of the things that this knife has that really I enjoy is the fact that, you know, sometimes when you have an axis lock knife, when you disengage the lock and you whip the blade back into the handle, the blade will kind of bounce a little bit, and sometimes that causes it to not close all the way. This doesn't seem to have that problem, and I'm not necessarily sure why. I don't know if it's, you know, has anything to do with the stop pin. I don't think it does. I don't know why it would. Or maybe it's just the shape of the blade or the weight of the blade being such that it doesn't cause it to, you know, bounce when it hits that ram lock. But this is a very attractive knife. I'm super happy to have been able to experience it, thanks to Ian. I wish, that I could have gotten a hold of this knife. I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm not going to pay the prices on Blade HQ or Knife Center or anything like that. If I can find it on Microtech Gear site, then I definitely will purchase this knife. And I'm certainly not going to purchase the Grivery version. That just doesn't interest me very much at all. I like the solidity of the G10 a lot more than I think I would like the Grivery. The ergonomics on this guy are just they're amazing. They're fantastic. I feel like the ergonomics on this guy are definitely a lot better than the ergonomics on the MSI. You still do get a little bit of a hot spot from this pocket clip, but that's just because of the way it was made. It kind of comes down and then it swoops right back up. So when you're holding this, especially when you're choked up, it is going to dig into your hand a little bit. But it's not terrible. I wouldn't say that this is a knife that you're going to be using hard for long periods of time. If some people may, but I certainly wouldn't. So I don't think that's going to cause too big of an issue. Again, you've got these stainless steel liners that carry all the way out to about here. And then you've got the little stainless steel brackets in here that hold the screws in place for the pocket clip. Very attractive, nice knife, very fun to use, just really enjoyable all the way around, and very, very comfortable for sure. This is definitely, again, a knife that I'd love to get a hold of. So if anybody wants to sell one, drop me a message and let me know. I would really appreciate that. But as far as everything else with this knife, I'm not going to carry it. I'm not going to use it. So I can't really speak too much to that, but I am eternally grateful to Ian for allowing me to borrow this and take a look at it and hold on to it for a while longer than I had to in order to be able to do this review. So again, if you guys could follow him on Instagram, I'd really, really appreciate that. So I think that's it for this. Oh, I didn't do the centering or the blade play. I apologize. So this guy is centered perfectly, and there is no blade play left, right, up or down. And let's check the balance here as well, see where that's at. I haven't done that yet. Okay, so the balance is right here behind the pivot, which is perfect. That's right where you want it. So that's great. Yeah, I think that's it for this one tonight, guys. Again, I'm glad to be back. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I really appreciate you stopping by. And stay up, y'all. Take it easy. Bye.